Frustrating news here in the U.S. as a judge dismissed Samantha Markle's case against her sister, Meghan. But does that mean the case is truly over? We have Samantha's lawyer here, Peter Tickton, to break it all down. Welcome to Popcorn Palace. I am Andy Signar. So honored to have attorney Peter Tickton back with us. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, Peter?
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you. I mean, obviously, we lost the case for now, but don't count us out. We've got a really good appeal to review this. Now, one of the benefits of losing at this stage, at the motion to dismiss stage, is that the Court of Appeals will actually look at this case from the very beginning. They're not going to consider necessarily what the judge had to say. I mean, obviously, if that points them in the direction that they think that they need to go, then they'll agree with the judge. But they don't actually look at the judge's decision with what's called a presumption of correctness. So, if the judge sat in a position where Her Honor had heard testimony and was the one to say, that person's lying, that person I believe, what is the Court of Appeal going to do? They're not in a position where they can actually say that they saw what the judge saw, that they know the judge was there, so the judge gets a presumption of correctness. But when it comes to a motion to dismiss, we get a fresh start. We get something called an appeal de novo, meaning from the beginning.
Do you feel like this was taken seriously from the beginning?
Yeah, I think that this judge actually tried to do a good job, but it's funny. We talk about judges being biased, and what we really mean by bias is a conscious biasness, where they're actually going to find against you because they like somebody else. But most judges have because they're people. We don't have any judges that aren't people, and all people have unconscious biases. I mean, ask Harry, and Meghan, they'll tell you the same thing, but they kind of use that for different purposes. But the fact of the matter is that we have a judge who is an Obama appointee, and she may be seeing these things the way somebody who's an Obama appointee would see it, which might not be the same way as somebody who likes Donald Trump would see it. Because people that like Donald Trump, they tend to watch alternative media, and they will watch Fox News. But people who are, solid Biden people, they're watching CNN and MSNBC and so on. And these different news sources portray Meghan Markle in completely different ways. So if you're hooked on the networks and you like to read People magazine, you're going to see Meghan Markle as this wonderful person, which she's not. The people that really see the truth more are seeing the alternative news. They're watching you, Andy. They're watching the shows that don't really have the agenda to lie. They're not part of the system.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the political bias, because the case in point of the other case we've been following closely is the immigration status with the Heritage Foundation versus the Department of Homeland Security. And interestingly enough, that judge was appointed by Trump, and I'm seeing them take it more seriously, which is good because they're actually prodding. And in fact, the latest update we just got, I haven't even got a report. They're trying to drag their feet. Homeland Security is trying to drag their feet to gather the forms suddenly, which they had to have had plenty of time by now. But the judge has requested it, wants to see it, and is taking this case seriously. But I think that's a good case study to show. We're like, look, let's just get it to the trial. And that's what's so frustrating here is it seems this judge, it seemed like in the courtroom we talked about this, was really taking things seriously. It's just frustrating me because she never really got to have her case, to find all the evidence, to get that discovery process, to really give herself the proper shot at it. What do you, because you said the judge seemed to be giving a fair shot. What do you think stopped her from actually allowing Samantha to have her day in court? Do you think there was corruption at hand here?
There's a lot of people that do. And lawyers in the state of Florida that are licensed, want to continue to be licensed, do not commit violations of the rules of ethics. And our rules of ethics basically prevent us from questioning the integrity of the courts, because we need to make sure that the people believe in the integrity of the courts. And frankly, one way or the other, I tell the truth. And I have no evidence whatsoever to show that that Judge Honeywell is anything but a decent and honest judge. I do know that there was, I certainly sensed something at the end of the hearing. I mean, first of all, what judge tells you, go ahead, move forward, take your discovery,
Do
don't
all
wait
this
for my
work.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, knowing especially the kind of expense that would be involved here of taking Prince Harry's deposition and Meghan, her deposition and so on. Of course, we would be getting stonewalled to a great extent. We were attempting to get uh, Meghan's brother's deposition, but it was hard to, these people are very good at stalling things off. If you ever need a lawyer that's really good at frustrating the course of discovery, these are excellent lawyers. I recommend them highly. The ones that were representing Meghan. But the fact is that the judge did say that, and she seemed to be getting it. When she asked certain questions, was this in the wanting to make sure that what I was saying was actually said in the complaint that we were looking at, and it was. And so she really seemed to be getting it. And when I say getting it, not getting it, there's two ways of looking at this. And this is where the judge can look like she knows that she studied it and did the right thing, but actually she's just basically able to use the information that was provided, the arguments that were provided from the other side in their paperwork. But the fact is, there's two ways of looking at everything. If I say to you, Andy, Meghan Markle is a rat fake, okay? But I want to break it down. You said the word Meghan Markle. Well, that's not defamatory. And you said the word that's not defamatory. And you said the words, rat fake, that's not defamatory. So if you break everything down enough, there's nothing that's defamatory because it's not even a sentence. So it works the same way when you take the sentences and break them down and look at each of them one by one. Now, you were one of the most perceptive people that have been, and forgive me for being complimentary like this because I'm not usually to anyone. But you were one of the few people that really were getting it. You told me you watched you knew it was hard in the first place to win a defamation case and to survive this kind of emotion. And then you told me that you watched as the defense gave their arguments first because it was their emotion. And they went one point, and they went to the next point, and they went to the next point, and every point just seemed to make sense to you. And you figured my goose was cooked. There's no way in the world I'm going to be able to get up there and say anything meaningful. And then I turned the whole thing around in argument. And how did I do that? It's because they were going through one point at a time. They were basically using their list of the different things that we were basically suing on. Each one of these blocks is one of the things that was said. So let me give you examples of what I'm talking about. So it said, Samantha changed her surname. Oh, this was one of the best ones. Okay. This is one that meant something to us. Samantha changed her surname back to Markle, and they left out the word only, which is very important. Only.
Huge mistake. Yeah.
It wasn't a mistake. These people don't make mistakes.
Correct. I mean, mistake from looking like they're being honest. Yeah, exactly. They purposely made that mistake. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, they left out that word on purpose. There's no question that they would leave out that one word by mistake. That didn't happen.
Thank you for correcting me. Yes.
Changed her surname, back to Markle only when Meghan started dating Prince Harry. Only when I started dating Prince Harry is what Meghan Markle said. Well, how is that defamatory? She changed her name only when I started dating Prince Harry. That's not saying that I'm saying Samantha's a bad person. It's not saying that Samantha's, some kind of, liar, some kind of opportunist. It all by itself. It doesn't say anything that's terrible. Am I right about this?
No, you're right.
But if you take it and put it together with all the other things that were said, then what it does is it makes her look like she's a dishonest opportunist who wrote a book about Meghan. And don't bother reading the book because I don't even know this person, which are other quotes that are in here. She doesn't know me. She's not really somebody I grew up with. She doesn't know anything about me, making her look like she's just a dishonest person who wrote a book about Meghan, which is kind of ironic because if she would have bothered to have read the book, this whole thing could have been avoided because it really wasn't about Meghan. And the topic, the name of the book referenced the name Princess Pushy, but it was all about the press using names improperly and so on. So the fact is, it wasn't even an attack of any sort by Samantha against her sister. It's her sister's paranoia, which I guess is it's something that makes her other conditions a little bit complex. But it was her own fears that she was responding to, not reality. But the fact of the matter is the judge, first of all, looking at this sentence by itself, can say, well, this is just a matter of her opinion, and it doesn't in itself, it's not defamatory. But put it together with the other things that were said. Don't just break down each thing all on its own, and you
Yeah.
basically have the smear of the century.
Well, and to echo what you're saying, is I agree. There is a connection. It does feel like when you look at the mainstream media and how they're covering it, even just like the way most of it says, you know, her half sister Samantha Markle, like they're all portraying the sort of shugging Samantha off as a non-relative, nobody who had nothing, which was all Meghan's argument. And, you know, she's her sister. That's how I see it still. But they choose to really add that to me. I look at that. Do you see what I'm saying? It feels like all these headlines in trying to declare Meghan's grand win also still want to take a knock at her. And I just think it's really unfair to Samantha, given, as you said in the court, and I saw it happen, and why I wanted to give you guys extra loud voices on this. Meghan absolutely did defame her. She absolutely did. And then what was even more troubling was the stuff that Boozy and all those people said in the documentary, which painted her as the head of this weird online bully group that was trying to take her down, which if anybody was watching and didn't know better, that's how it plays and that's how it came across. And she produced that documentary, but you guys can't even go prove or go into discovery to see how involved was Meghan in that. Maybe she wasn't, right? But what's so troubling is you didn't even get the chance to find that out.
No, but we had her on that because she produced the show.
Yeah.
Well, if she's the producer and had the discretion as to whether that goes in or not, then she's the one that's publishing it. So it may be that it's Boozy's voice and his appearance on the screen, but the person who published those words was Meghan Markle.
She allowed those words by Boozy to be in the final product. Yes.
Right, right. But let's take a look at it, though. You know, let's not forget something very important. When I first got into this case, I thought it was a suit against two sisters. Okay, you know, one much more famous at that point, or notorious, but two sisters. And at that point, she was just famous. No, I don't think people were really that attuned to just what a person this is. I mean, they didn't know that she's the kind of person who would basically, well, you know, when you think about it, this is a person who I understand Queen Elizabeth said was evil.
Oh, he just went there. How evil is Meghan Markle? What did the Queen say? And were they going to depose Princess Catherine? All that along with what are the next steps? Does Samantha still have a case? You're not going to miss part 2, which is dropping later this afternoon. Make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for alerts so you get notified. And please smash that thumbs up so this video gets some traction and engagement. Appreciate you guys so much. And thanks to Peter Tickton. Stay tuned for part 2. You will not want to miss it.